Is it immoral to own property?
The landlord earns through the labor of that which he owns rather than his own labor.
Socialists believe that wealth should be earned from labor and thus oppose the landlord who earns through their property. This is due to their property being a means of production.
Owning land and renting it out is predatory, but that does not make the landlords predators themselves. Housing is a right and ought not to be treated as a commodity. The feudal system and serfdom are both extreme examples of this structure. In the feudal structure, warriors are offered land by a lord in exchange for their military service. In the serf structure, the warrior is instead replaced with the agrarian. In the current structure, the warrior or agrarian is replaced with the renter, who pays in capital instead. This is a point of difference. The manual and material labor of the renter is not directly exchanged for the usufruct. Rather, it is used elsewhere to accrue capital that is then exchanged for the usufruct. Thus, the socialist argues that the current structure is but an abstraction that occludes the reality of modern-day serfdom under the structures of a monetary society.
People are able to live where they want to without the extreme capital burden that comes with acquiring the land in the first place. Additionally, it is a mistake to claim manual labor as the only form of labor. Capital and assets or property are also labor except that they are packaged differently. Landlords put their capital to work through the property. Specifically, they sell the usufruct for a period of time.
Unfortunately, some, who begin with much more capital than the common person, monopolize the land by buying up as much land as they can. This creates scarcity, driving prices up and pricing out commoners from being able to afford land. Thus, they must rent. Socialists thus argue that people should only be able to own occupied land and not land held, driving down supply.
However, this supply deficit is inevitable, and the ability to make use of land perhaps for agricultural purposes without having to buy it outright is a feature of capitalism. The ability to benefit from sufficient cash flows without needing the full sum at any one time. For example, if the cash in a month is only 5% of the actual amount, then the person can be 20 times more productive. Thus, the service of the landlord, to provide the usufruct separate from the bare dominion over the land, is a service to the people and a multiplier on the economy, thus generating unprecedented prosperity and quality of life.
For a rising tide lifts all boats.